You ever notice how some foods magically disappear from your kitchen way faster than your money comes in? And somehow your grocery bill refuses to shrink no matter what you do? Well, what if a few small, strategic choices could make your food last longer, stretch farther, and help your budget breathe a little easier? Let's take a few minutes to look at foods that quietly save people money without them even realizing it. Most people don't think about conserving food until they're staring into an empty fridge a week before payday. But the truth is, the foods you keep around and how well they store can make the difference between a stressful month and a manageable one. And when money is tight, the last thing anyone needs is food going bad too quickly or meals that don't stretch. So here's a look at a handful of foods that have been helping people stay full, stay sane, and stay on budget for decades. Before we jump in, if you want to support the channel, don't forget to like this video, and if you enjoy practical financial content that makes everyday life easier, subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. So the first food, rice. Rice tends to be one of those foods that people underestimate because it feels too simple. But that's exactly why it helps people conserve both food and money. A single inexpensive bag can stretch into meals for days or even weeks, depending on how you portion it. It stores extremely well, which means people don't usually have to worry about it spoiling before they use it, which is a major advantage when trying to make every grocery dollar last. And rice is incredibly adaptable. It can slide into almost any kind of meal: savory, sweet, breakfast, dinner. Even leftovers become new dishes. People often find that using rice as a base helps them stretch more expensive foods like meat or vegetables much farther. And it's that stretching power that quietly keeps budgets under control. Now, when people think about conserving food, they rarely think about meals that create built-in leftovers. Rice naturally does this. The moment you cook a pot, you suddenly have tomorrow's meals partially handled. Less cooking needed, less grocery spending, less stress. The second food, beans and lentils. Beans and lentils are almost like the unsung heroes of budget-friendly eating. They're shelf-stable, which immediately makes them valuable for conserving food. They last months or even years, and unlike fresh ingredients, they give you freedom. You can buy them, store them, and use them whenever life demands it. Another thing people often overlook is how filling they are. Foods that keep people fuller for longer tend to reduce snacking and unnecessary spending. Two habits that drain a budget without anyone noticing. Whether someone uses canned beans or dried ones, they usually end up with meals that cost far less per serving than most foods in the grocery store. And then there's versatility. Chili, soups, stews, salads, dips, spreads, even side dishes. Beans and lentils show up everywhere. They can replace expensive proteins, stretch meals, and become the centerpiece of entire dishes without costing much at all. What makes them especially useful is how easy they are to batch cook. When someone cooks beans in bulk, they end up with multiple meals, which reduces the temptation to order out or buy higher-priced items when they're tired. This is the kind of quiet habit that makes budgeting easier without feeling like sacrifice. The third food, oats. Oats are another staple that people sometimes forget about, but they can be one of the most cost-effective foods in any kitchen. A single container can last weeks while costing just a few dollars. That's rare today. Oats store extremely well, which helps reduce waste. They don't spoil quickly, and because they're dry, they're easy to portion out exactly as needed. And even though people think of oats mainly as breakfast, they're actually much more flexible than that. Oats can be used in snacks, baking, smoothies, energy bites, breading for foods, thickening soups, and more. The more uses a food has, the more each dollar stretches. Another overlooked detail: oats are naturally filling. This helps people stay satisfied longer, which can reduce grazing and unnecessary spending on impulse snacks. Someone might spend $3 or $4 on oats and get dozens of servings out of them. But that same amount spent on packaged snacks usually disappears in a day or two. And when someone is managing a budget, foods that provide long, steady energy are incredibly valuable. They stop hunger from becoming a financial decision. The fourth food, potatoes. Potatoes tend to be one of the most durable and flexible fresh foods someone can buy on a budget. They have a long shelf life when stored correctly, which means less food goes to waste. And wasted food is essentially wasted money. A single inexpensive bag of potatoes can become dozens of meals. Mashed, roasted, baked, pan-fried, boiled, made into soups, stews, sides, or full meals. They work with almost any seasoning, and they pair well with meat, vegetables, eggs, or even as the base of an entire dish. What makes potatoes especially valuable for conserving food is their ability to fill the plate. Meaning, they allow someone to use smaller amounts of more expensive foods without feeling like the meal is lacking. For example, someone might use half the amount of meat they normally would. But when paired with potatoes, the meal still feels hearty and complete. That's how simple foods quietly protect the budget. Potatoes also reheat well, which makes batch cooking easier. When food reheats well, leftovers actually get eaten instead of thrown away. And that's one of the biggest money savers of all. The fifth food: frozen vegetables. Frozen vegetables often get overshadowed by fresh produce. But when the goal is to conserve food and money, they can be one of the smartest choices available. Fresh vegetables spoil quickly. Frozen vegetables don't. And that difference alone saves people an unbelievable amount of money every year. With frozen vegetables, people can use exactly what they need when they need it. No rush, no waste, no guilt from tossing out wilted produce. And the variety is huge. Broccoli, spinach, carrots, peas, corn, mixes for stir fries. The options go on and on. They also make quick meals easier, which prevents expensive takeout decisions on nights when cooking feels impossible. Being able to grab a handful of frozen veggies and toss them into a dish helps stretch meals, add nutrients, and cut down on costs all at once. Another advantage is predictability. Prices for fresh produce jump up and down every season. Frozen vegetables tend to stay consistent, which makes budgeting more controllable and far less stressful. People often don't realize how much money is lost simply from food spoiling before it's used. Frozen vegetables solve that almost entirely. So, stepping back for a moment, here's the bigger picture. Some foods save people money not because they're cheap, but because they last, stretch, adapt, and reduce waste. Rice prolongs meals. Beans and lentils provide filling, affordable protein. Oats deliver long use and versatility. Potatoes offer durability and countless meal options. And frozen vegetables eliminate waste and simplify everyday cooking. These aren't flashy foods, but they quietly support anyone trying to manage a tight budget. Now I'm curious, which one of these foods do you think saves the most money in the long run? Or is there another budget-friendly food you'd add to the list? Drop it in the comments so others can get ideas too. And if you enjoyed this breakdown and want more practical financial content that helps everyday life feel a little easier, make sure you subscribe. It really supports the channel and helps bring more videos like this your way. All right, see you on the next one.